Hi, my name is Jenny and I'm in grade 11 at Notre Dame Secondary School, and today I'm going to be one of your hosts for this really exciting event.
Hi, I'm Anjali, and I'm also in grade 11, like Jenny, and I'm going to be your other host for the next hour.
So welcome to
So
our
welcome to
welcome to our third session of National Youth Week, where we are talking all about advocacy through the arts. Today's session is about using the arts to raise awareness, and we'll be talking to some great youth leaders about what this means to them.
so all week we're going to be having activities as we've had like two previous sessions before, and on Friday we'll be talking about mental health and also check out our other National Youth Week activities from the city of Brampton and the city of Mississauga also. And Sean will now put up some featured youth volunteer opportunities. And these are from Volunteer NBC's service provider, for which there are like thousands of volunteer opportunities for everyone according to your interests. And since the focus of today is art, these are some volunteer opportunities relating art if you're like interested in that area.
Before we introduce our guest for today, we wanted to give you guys a quick introduction about what exactly Volunteer NBC is. VNBC stands for Volunteer Mississauga, Caledon, and Brampton, and it's composed of over 200 nonprofit organizations in Peel. The purpose of the organization is to improve lives through volunteerism and connect people to the causes that need them.
8 years, Ink Movement has published regional anthologies composed of poetry, prose, photography, and art under varying themes to encourage youth to share what's on their minds. This year, Ink Movement has set its sights on an even bigger goal: to publish a national collection of work, ranging coast to coast under the topic of change and transformation. Both teams from Ink Movement Mississauga and Edmonton have partnered to make this dream come true.
I think what makes Ink Movement's youth anthology particularly impactful is the fact that it's by youth and for youth.
I was with Ink Movement for almost my entire high school career, and I can say without a shadow of a doubt that it was the defining experience of my youth.
From the initial process of just voting on a theme to actually holding a copy in my hands and getting to flip through all the stories and creations of youth in my area was a moment I'll never forget.
To me, change means a chance to restart. It's a chance to refresh and begin again from a blank slate.
Change and transformation to me means taking whatever obstacles, challenges, or even just unexpected experiences you face and channeling them into something positive, whether that's through your artistic endeavors or just personal growth.
To me, change and transformation is about growth. And a lot of people think that means becoming better, but to me, it's just about becoming different.
I hope this anthology can act as a collective outlet for youth across Canada and can truly do justice to the vulnerable and utterly human nature of experiences that Canadian youth highlights in their art through the messy notes scribbled in anger, the almost inaudible words whispered in utter hopelessness, and everything in between and beyond.
Okay, so our next guest is Tima, who is a grade 12 student in Mississauga. She has been involved in Ink Movement Mississauga since 2018, and this year serves as co-vice president. During those 3 years, she has been involved in organizing poetry slams, youth anthologies, and seasonal workshops, and as an avid poetry enthusiast. Hi. Can you start off by telling us? Can you start off by telling us more about yourself and the organization that you volunteer for?
Oh yeah, for sure. So Ink Movement is a youth nonprofit organization in Mississauga and Edmonton. And our goal really is just to empower youth by providing them the platform to share their art as well as their ideas, their words, their thoughts. Basically, whatever thoughts they want to have, just providing them the platform to share that. And we do recognize that art comes in many different shapes and forms. So we consider everything from poetry to calligraphy to painting. We consider all of those as viable forms of art. So our definition of art is very broad, and that is part of why of like furthering our mission, because it allows us to provide the platform to as many youth as possible. And yeah.
Okay, so there's like a lot of the organization's like involved with like a lot of art. So do you like art? Like, why was the reason you started volunteering for this organization?
So I first got involved, or first my first interaction with ink was back in grade 9. I attended their poetry slam. Personally, back then I knew absolutely nothing about poetry, but like by being inspired by seeing other youth perform their poetry, I got incredibly inspired, and I decided to join Ink Movement as an executive. And since then, I've kind of been involved with Ink. And currently, I have the pleasure of serving as Ink's co-vice president. And personally, I'm an avid artist as well, or self-proclaimed artist, if you will. I really enjoy everything from poetry to Arabic calligraphy to just regular graphic designing. So I'm definitely an artist myself, and I think that the work that Ink does is very, very valuable, and that it provides a platform once again for youth to share their art and their creativity.
I'm sure that because you love art, you also love volunteering. So yeah, I was gonna ask, what do you enjoy most about volunteering?
I think the most valuable thing about volunteering is that it allows you to give back to your community. I think volunteering is, something that is almost necessary to have a good life, really, because if you're not volunteering, um, you don't have that sense of community, and volunteering really does provide that. So it's very important.
I actually checked out Ink Movement's Instagram earlier this week, and I think I don't know, it looks really nice. How do you guys like empower youth through the use of social media?
So yeah, for sure, social media is like a very important part of our mission, and like a very important part of how we get the word across to youth artists and let them know about the initiatives that we have going on, as well as how to get them involved in our initiatives. So we are like incredibly grateful for the opportunities that social media does provide us to get the word out, and that is why we try our best to make our social media as attractive as possible, and we do spend a lot of time polishing it to catch the interest and catch the attention of youth artists, so that we can get the word out to as many youth as possible about our organization.
So it looks like there's like a lot of it needs like a lot of hard work putting like your page together. So like because of the currents of like the pandemic, like how have you been like handling like all this virtual volunteering?
So yeah, we really have a very incredible team behind the scenes who do a lot of work in their own free time, just for the sake of them being on the same page, having the same mission that Ink Movement does, and we're incredibly grateful for those incredible youth who put the time and effort to support Ink Movement. So we always have a lot of things going on. Just recently, we have we have been working on our youth anthology, which is an annual event that it's just a book, a published print book that incorporates work of artists in the GTA, as you saw in the video. And it provides them a platform to get published because this isn't something that many youth do have. So that is an opportunity that we provide for youth. And another more current or upcoming event that we do have is the talent show. It's our first ever talent show. So if any of our audience is interested, do tune in to our Instagram this upcoming Saturday. We're going to be announcing the winners of our talent show.
So it looks like there's like a lot of volunteering opportunities.
You can go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, so it looks like there's like a lot of volunteering opportunities with the Ink movement. So like to the people who are watching this and like anyone who else is like interested in volunteering with your organization. So how can they volunteer with your organization?
Oh yeah, there's always like many ways that youth can get involved with Ink. Personally, when I first got involved with Ink, I knew nothing about the organization, and yet because of the collaborative and the supporting and very close-knitted environment that I found there, I knew that I wanted to continue being involved with Ink. And so there's two ways that you can get involved with Ink. First of all, you can be an executive. So we're always on the lookout for youth who are willing to get involved behind the scenes at Ink. So whether you're good at photography or good at graphic designing, or you just have a way with words, we'd love to really have you on board. So our applications get open over the summer. So do keep an eye out for that when they open. But other than that, we always have an opportunity. We always have like back-to-back opportunities for youth to showcase their art. So we always love to have any youth contribute to our events. And we're also incredibly grateful for the youth who, take the courage to put their art out there and trust us with their art, because we do realize that art is an incredibly private thing for many people. So when youth do take the courage to do that, to put their art out there, then we're incredibly grateful for their courage to do so.
Going back to the talent show that you were talking about, can you tell us more about it?
So yeah, for sure. It's our first ever talent show. So we're definitely planning and improvising as we go. But we just wanted to provide another platform for youths who have any talents, whether it's singing or acting or role playing. We just wanted to give youth the opportunity to showcase these talents. And so just a few days ago, just last week, our submission period unfortunately ended, but you still have the chance to vote on your favorite act. And this upcoming Saturday, we're going to be showcasing the top voted acts, and as well as announcing the winners.
What's been your role specifically in the whole talent show, getting ready for the talent show thing?
Yeah, for sure. So my role is always as vice president is just to make sure that the show is running, make sure that everyone is doing their tasks, and that things are being done by the deadlines, and that everything is running smoothly.
So as you volunteered for this organization for quite a long time, so what skills and assets have you gained throughout your volunteer experience?
I think one of the most valuable things that I've gotten out of Ink Movement was being inspired by other youth. Just seeing how incredible and how much talent there is in Mississauga, in the youth population specifically, was an incredibly inspiring thing. Not only for me, as an artist who wants to pursue, do art as a hobby, but also as a person. Just seeing their talent has made me grow as a person.
Were there any challenges you faced over the past 3 years, you said, since you started volunteering?
Well, speaking for the period that I have been volunteering with Inc. or been working with Inc., nothing really stands out to me. I think part of the reason why is that we have such a supportive and collaborative team. Whenever a problem comes up, we always deal with it as soon as we spot it, and everyone is willing to put in a hand and work together to resolve the issues. So really, there isn't any major challenges that we have in our organization. We roll really smoothly, I think.
As vice president, you obviously have a big role in forming a strong team. Yeah. So how do you do that? How do you go about building a strong team?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Okay. How do you go about building a strong team for Inc?
Oh yeah, for sure. So our executive team is incredibly close knitted, and we really do strive to creating that kind of supportive and warm atmosphere at Inc. Whether it's by creating monthly or weekly meetups, or just by we have an online platform that we all contribute to. We have a Discord server, and we always chatting there and answering questions and learning more about each other every single day. And so that really allows us to know one another and to be willing to contribute to one another.
As there's a lot of art opportunities with the ink movement, what would you say to artists who maybe unsure if their artwork is good enough?
I think just put it out there. I think the first step to having your work recognized is putting yourself and your art and your work out there. So definitely just don't think too much about it. Just put it out there, submit, and once you do it, you're going to be grateful that you did.
I think we'll wrap up with Tima right now and go to our second guest, Rij. So our second guest is Rij, who is a climate change consultant with a diverse industry background, working with nonprofits, government agencies, consultancies, and corporations for over 13 years. She's also the founder of People Planet Pages book club that organized the Our Climate, Our Stories creative writing contest, which she will talk about later on today. She also represents two other organizations, BAM Collective, which stands for Book Arts Music, and Enviro Muslims. So to start off, can you introduce yourself and the organizations that you volunteer for?
Yes, for sure. I hope you can hear me now. Perfect. Right. So I'm here today on behalf of three different organizations. Enviro Muslims, which is a community group, and it's based in Mississauga, women-led, mostly women, female volunteers that work with the group. The idea behind the group is to engage the Muslim Canadian community, including mosques and the people who visit the mosque, to get more and more engaged in environmental stewardship. So that's the kind of work that we do there. The second organization is Community Climate Council. Community Climate Council is a non-for-profit, youth-led organization. It's non-partisan, and it's a pretty recent one as well. And there are a lot of youth volunteers that work with them as well. Their whole mission is around climate literacy, climate advocacy, and also working around climate solutions and ideas. And the third is BAM Collective, Book Art Music Collective. BAM is a collective of racialized youth that are mostly located within Toronto and around Toronto. So Scarborough, York region, that kind of area. They have a very kind of diverse portfolio. So they work around a lot of like mental health issues or other social health issues, or on political advocacy as well, and also climate change. But the whole kind of their mission is to incorporate art into the work they're doing. So art serves as a kind of therapy and as a leading project channel for whatever work that they're doing in whatever arena.
You seem to have like a lot of you seem to have like a lot of you seem to have like a lot of experience with like different organizations with like different goals. So why did you start volunteering?
Well, I actually started volunteering back in 2007 when I was a student myself, and I was studying environmental sciences at that point. So I wanted to get to know a bit more about, the field that I was studying in, and just getting that kind of practical experience. But it kind of evolved into a career itself. So I moved very swiftly from being a volunteer to part and parcel of that organization, and then running and introducing some new programs in there, and then working a lot with government stakeholders, especially. But this kind of volunteering that I'm doing right now started off in 2019 when I moved to Canada. Obviously, I was new here. I did not have experience with the North American sector. I wanted to create my own network. I wanted to, get to know the Canadian market, not only the job market, but the sustainability market a bit better, and getting to engage and network with the actors. And I wanted to kind of move away from, just kind of networking through LinkedIn or other kind of professional sites. And so I got into volunteering again, which I'm really grateful for, because it's kind of brought me back to the roots that I had back in 2007, and working with community groups, working with organizations, working with a lot of youth, and moving away from the kind of technical work that I usually do as my day job to this kind of volunteering that gives me some space to be more creative and to be a bit more flexible into the kind of work we want to do.
There's no doubt that you're obviously really passionate about volunteering, and you've also had a lot of experience volunteering, as you've been talking about. But like, what do you enjoy most about volunteering?
I guess for me, one of the things that I really like the most is being able to work on different kind of projects and different kind of teams and that kind of diversity. Because when you're volunteering, you're essentially volunteering with a number of different projects and programs, and going beyond the kind of day-to-day job that you have. For instance, one of the things that we worked on, we at the Community Climate Council, we organized an ethical art contest, and that was in celebration of the Plastic Week in I think it's in the month of July. And we partnered with a book publisher to host this art contest and get people to be a bit more involved in that week, in addition to the educational kind of work that we were doing, to be a bit more creative. And that's the kind of work that I really like about volunteering. Like, you're giving your free time to work on your passion. And that's amazing, because that helps you learn, it helps you grow, and not only just grow like professionally, it helps you grow personally as well. And it helps you build these very like long lasting connections. I think most of the work that I've done in the volunteering is going to be on the top of my list for the things that I'm really proud of, I would say.
As you've been involved with our climate, our story. So can you tell us more about this?
Sure. So Our Climate, Our Stories is a product of our book club, which is called People Planet Pages, and it's available on Instagram with the same name. People Planet Pages is run in partnership by all of these three organizations, so I'm kind of like the middleman for all of them. So the book club essentially, is around getting people and readers to engage a bit more about sustainability, to learn more about what is sustainability and what is climate change and what are the environmental issues that we're facing in our community, and what we can do to, kind of help being that solution towards some of these challenges. And we obviously, as citizens, have a responsibility, right? So it's basically about involving people into that conversations. So we introduced this creative writing contest called Our Climate, Our Stories, which was for 14 years to 29 years of age people, so essentially youth, but restricting it to the BIPOC youth, so the Black, Indigenous, and people of color, because these are the kind of voices that don't normally get as amplified or celebrated as they should be. And when we're talking about climate change and climate narratives or people's climate experiences, there's this kind of immediate kind of need to bring these stories out so that it can be made a bit more personalized when you're trying to talk about climate change or climate issues that people are facing. So with that idea, we had this Our Climate, Our Stories creative writing competition. We had youth send in essays and poems and short stories. Some of them wrote their personal stories, and other people wrote fictional stories as well. We had a panel of judges based in UK, US, Norway, and Canada. And the panel of judges looked at different criteria, and then we selected the winners. And then the top 20 were compiled into a book, which is now available, Our Climate, Our Stories, with the same title. And some of the stories are illustrated within the book as well, so kind of adding on to that written art form, just a bit more of a visual art form. And we're going to be continuing to use that as a tool for for all of these three organizations, and mostly for the book club, to carry on these very important conversations that we need to have within our communities, and connecting the Indigenous youth with the non-Indigenous youth about understanding a bit more about the climate challenges that are overlaid on that particular youth group.
Was that a one-time competition, or do you plan on doing more of these and publishing more of the more versions of Our Climate, Our Change?
I definitely think that as climate change progresses and as people grow up, their lives change, more people grow up and enter that kind of youth population, there are going to be even more stories to come out of it. So there's definitely space for not just us, for other people as well, to kind of join the fight and bring out these stories and bring out this art, because art is obviously a universal language, and we're using that to kind of transcend that kind of language barriers or other kind of boundaries for us. So there's definitely a potential for us to do that and for other people to join in that as well. I will, however, say that doing it once a year is going to be tough, because it did take a lot of time for us to, get all of that together and promote it and edit and then, illustrate. So we'll see what the frequency is going to be like, but we definitely want to continue to have similar competitions in the future, and to continue to host storytelling sessions from this particular book that we have out now.
If you guys end up doing the Our Climate Our Stories again, I'll be sure to enter it because it seems really fun and a really fun opportunity. Um, Moving on to the other organization that you volunteer for, Enviro Muslims, can you tell us about the Eid in Nature contest?
Yes. So, as I mentioned, Enviro Muslims, the main mandate for Enviro Muslims is to engage the Muslim Canadian community on environmental stewardship. So we're working with mosques on how we can help them be sustainable, but we also wanted to engage the youth part of the Muslim community. So we came up with the idea of doing an Eid in Nature photo contest. And this was during the pandemic last year. So people were very new into the lockdown at that point. And Eid is obviously like a huge celebration. It's kind of like the Muslim Christmas, right? So we wanted to give them the opportunity to be as festive as they want, as festive as they possibly can be in a very safe form, but also be able to connect to nature. So this particular project was funded by TD Parks People, and we were able to host this kind of like a social media challenge and got people to come in, collaborate, share pictures together or on their own of their families, connecting with nature in their backyard or with parks, and showing, how they connect to their surroundings. So this could be, whether it's the urban nature around them or whether they're in countryside. And so there's like a lot of farms around them. So it was basically about each person exploring their own personal connections to animals and wildlife and biodiversity and all of that.
That sounds amazing. Okay, so I think that's it for our one-on-one session. So we're going to be moving on to a group discussion right now.
Um, Hi. So during group discussion, we'll mainly be talking about art and how it's impacted you and and your volunteering experience. Um, we can start. Can we, guys? Can you guys tell us more about how you have developed your artistic skills or talent through this? Either of you can start off.
I can go first if you want. Okay. Well, there are so many types of art. There's writing, creative writing. There is painting. Tima, you mentioned calligraphy as well, which is like a huge and really interesting form. And then there's the spoken word and poetry and singing and acting and so much. I've been involved with creative arts since I was a student, and I used to be part of the dramatics club, so a lot of like kind of drama background as well. And then we were studying fine arts too, so there's that kind of background as well. But I do feel the youth today have a lot more to add to that kind of art arena because there's a lot more of that art education that becomes part of your curriculum, and not just curriculum, but also it becomes part of the language that youth can use with the new technology that has come out, and with even like graphic design or social media related content that you want to produce or draft. It has become much and much easier, and it has become much and much more accessible. And so we also see a lot more people connecting art and connecting to it a bit more emotionally and engaging with it more emotionally as well. The only way that I think that I have made it, or that I may have worked a lot more on my own skills would be, just doing a lot more work that I get to do through volunteering. So, editing this Our Climate Our Stories book helped us get to know a lot more about creating and grammar forms and all of that, which we didn't really knew at that scale before. Or using platforms like Adobe or Canva to be able to work around some of the graphic stuff as well. Or even the fact that the book layout that we had to set out, and how the graphic designers are working around it, and the way that we had to engage with that as well, kind of helped us evolve a bit more.
Yeah, I definitely agree with everything that Arich has said. I think part of the great thing that we have going on right now is that we have so many platforms. So many platforms are available for youth to share their art and share their creativity and their ideas and their thoughts and their work that they have done. So I think Inc. provides this incredible platform that youth should be using, and I do encourage everyone listening to share their art because sharing your art is a great thing to do.
So out of all these, these art related experiences, what would you say is your favorite part with art?
I can go first this time. Personally, I think what makes art so great is that it's like this medium that can be understood by so many people, regardless of their language or their race or their where they are or anything. And I think this art is like something that transcends everything. It transcends space and time, and that's what makes art so great. Because no matter whether you're an old man or a 15-year-old student, you're able to create art, and others are able to understand it. And so, I think this quality of art is what makes it so important.
That was so beautifully said. I think the only thing that I will add to that is that because most of my work is around climate change and sustainability, and it's essentially a very a scientific, technical kind of a field. So a lot of the communication that we normally do is in very analytic terms. So it's through the language of charts or tables or graphs or mathematics and stuff like that. But when you bring art into that equation, you're talking about connecting a lot more with the analytical parts of our brain, but doing it in a very creative way. So we are connecting with the more intuitive part of ourselves, and we're engaging a bit more emotionally, and we're encoding the reality of the situation while associating with the images and our feelings associated with them. And we found that with the Our Climate Our Stories in particular, it was a really, really powerful tool to use art, because it helped break barriers and highlight the gaps between the BIPOC communities and with other communities, with third generation, fourth generation, whatever you want to bring in. It just made the whole process a bit more inclusive and a bit more equitable, where we not to do a project without art.
I think you guys both made wonderful points. I related to it a lot because I love the arts personally. I play the piano and I read and write a lot. I actually write poetry, I I know and understand the impact that art has on my life and the impact that it has on the community around me, as you guys were saying. Um, and yeah, I think that's it. Oh yeah, also, thank you guys so much, Tima and Anrij, for sharing your volunteering experiences and about your organizations. I'm sure the audience learned as much as we did, and it would be great to have another session like this again. And also, thank you to everyone who took time out of their day to watch the session. We appreciate it a lot.